All right, let's dive right into the pages of history, shall we? Today, we're on the hunt for a figure who was absolutely central to the founding of a kingdom, but who is, somehow, almost completely lost to time. We're talking about Israel's very first queen. When you think of Israel's first king, the name Saul probably pops right into your head. He's this giant figure in history. But have you ever wondered, who was his wife? Who was the woman standing beside him, becoming the very first queen of the brand new Israelite monarchy? Her story is this incredible mix of power, tragedy, and a mystery that still has people guessing. So to even start this historical investigation, we have to begin with the one solid clue we have, the only real proof of her existence, and it's buried in the book of Samuel. And here it is. That's it. This single sentence is pretty much the foundation for everything we know. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, daughter of Ahimaaz. It's so simple, right? But with that one line, we're introduced to a woman holding a title no one in her nation had ever held before. I mean, think about how huge that is. Before Ahinoam, Israel was basically a loose collection of tribes. There was no royalty. With her marriage to Saul, she's literally inventing the role of the queen, the first lady. She wasn't just a wife, she was setting a precedent, the matriarch of a whole new royal family. And speaking of that royal family, her most lasting legacy, really, is her children. And wow, what a group of kids. They would become the central players in one of the most famous and dramatic power struggles in all of history. And what's wild is how many of these names you probably already know. You've got Jonathan, the crown prince, who becomes David's legendary best friend. And then there's Michal, her daughter, who actually marries David and defies her own father to save him. Ahinoam was mother to all of them, which puts her smack dab in the middle of the storm that was about to hit. Yeah, because Ahinoam's life as queen was, well, it was anything but a fairy tale. Her crown was worn during a period of nonstop war, intense political drama, and just deep personal heartbreak right there inside her own palace. Let's just walk through how this all falls apart. Saul's entire time as king is defined by one war after another. Then this young, charismatic hero, David, shows up, and Ahinoam would have had a front row seat to watch her husband's mind just unravel with paranoia and jealousy. Can you imagine watching your own kids, Jonathan and Michal, siding with this newcomer against their dad? The family was completely broken, and it was all heading towards that one final disastrous battle at Mount Gilboa. And that battle? It was the end of everything, just a catastrophic moment that saw the death of the king and his heirs, and it threw the entire future of Ahinoam's family, her whole house, into chaos. And this is where the story gets really mysterious. After the absolutely devastating loss of her husband and 3 of her sons on that battlefield, the Bible just goes silent about her. It never records what happened to Queen Ahinoam. We have no idea what her fate was. She just vanishes. So let's play this out. If she survived the Battle of Gilboa, what would she have seen? A horrifying civil war, her last surviving son fighting for the throne against her own son-in-law, David. She would have witnessed the complete and utter collapse of the dynasty she helped start. But wait, there is one more crazy twist to this story. There's a scholarly theory out there that, if it's true, it completely reframes how we see Ahinoam's life. It turns her from just a victim of history into, well, a masterful political survivor. So here's the puzzle. The Bible actually mentions 2 important women named Ahinoam. There's Saul's wife, our queen. And then there's Ahinoam of Jezreel, who was one of David's very first wives. For centuries, everyone just assumed they were 2 different people. But a really fascinating theory asks, what if they're not? What if they're the same woman? Could David have actually married the queen of the king he replaced? And this right here, this is the smoking gun for that theory. The prophet Nathan comes to David and says that God gave him his master's wives. And who's the master here? King Saul. The implication is pretty direct. David didn't just get the kingdom, he literally inherited Saul's wives, which would have absolutely included the head wife, Queen Ahinoam herself. Now, I know that might sound shocking to us today, but in the ancient world, this was a classic power move. Marrying the former king's widow was a symbolic act. It was a way of saying, the power has been transferred to me. It helped make your claim to the throne look legitimate. Politically, it made all the sense in the world. So, at the end of the day, why does this lost queen even matter? Well, because she was the first.
She was the matriarch of a royal family that, even after it fell, people remembered with this kind of tragic loyalty. Her story, whether it's one of just terrible loss or one of shrewd survival, perfectly captures the violent and messy birth of a kingdom. And it leaves us with a genuinely compelling historical mystery.
And that's the question we're left with, isn't it? Was Ahinoam just a tragic queen who had to watch her entire world burn to the ground? Or was she a savvy political survivor, smart enough to navigate the collapse of one dynasty and secure her own place in the rise of the next? The text never tells us, leaving us to wonder about the real story of the lost queen.